June 2022. So the first item on our agenda this evening is to approve the minutes for the May 24th, 2022 meeting. Is there any discussion by the board on the minutes? All right, if there's no discussion, do we have a motion?
I'll move for approval.
A motion by Alderman Pinchot. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a second by Ms. Moore. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the next item on our agenda tonight is the selection and appointment of a youth representative member. And as we move into that, I also want to note that tonight is Inas's last meeting with us. And I want to say thank you for serving with us over this course of this year. It's been really nice having you on the board.
Thank you all.
And I think you've graduated high school and you're moving into college now.
Yeah.
Great. Where do you plan to go?
I'm going to Northeastern University in Boston.
Oh, nice. Well, congratulations. I wish you a lot of success there.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the board with us.
I'd like to ask you, any comments you want to make? Anything that you would like to share that maybe we could help future students or guide or?
Well, I just wanted to thank all of you guys. This was really insightful to know like the little things in the town, what helps it run and everything. So yeah.
Well, good.
Great. Great. I'm glad it's been a good experience for you as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, one thing this year is we had a number of youth applicants for the position, which in some years we haven't had. So this has been great. I know everyone had received a packet with a brief bio of each of the representatives. I don't know, do you have them to put up here, or were they just in our packet?
They were just in the packet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I hope everyone had an opportunity to review them. And I guess at this point, I can't remember, in years past, we've really only had one or two applicants, but do we need to do like a first and maybe a second choice just in case, or just pick one?
If someone wants to, if you want to discuss the different applicants, you can, and then, if someone wants to make a motion for somebody and it's seconded, it can be done that way, or if there's a couple of different, people have some different ideas on it, you could, kind of narrow it down, do a first and second, and then narrow it from there.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Well, I know I
there
put
are-
together a list. I'm sure others may have done the same thing.
I have.
And let's start sort of there. I mean, I reviewed all of them, and I know that some of them had VRRB as the first choice, while others did not. One that jumped out at me was really, I think it was the first one in the packet, was Anna Gibbs. I think what she had to say about what she wanted to do in the future was pretty appealing to me. So I'll start with that and allow everyone to make their own comments.
I'll make a comment. I had narrowed it down to two, but Anna Gibbs was the top of my list as well. But I'm still open to comments and suggestions. If anybody on the board knows of any of the other students and wants to say something, I'd like to hear that.
Right.
I know Ellie Doyle, Eleanor Doyle. Worked with her father for 25 plus years at Scripps. She is going to be a pilot, and she's already flying. But I will also say that on the other board I am on, that Anna Gibbs was the second choice of that board. So I'm sure she comes very qualified. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I also, when I was reading through these, there were several that I was impressed with. I was impressed with, and I also kind of looked through who had picked this board first and just thought, did it play into it, or, but, I thought Anna was, kind of one of the top. When I read hers first, actually,
Right.
I was very impressed. I read through the others. I kind of went back and read hers again, and just, I liked what she had to say too. So.
Stephen?
I've reviewed them, and Paolo, I think he actually applied for the VRRB last year, didn't he?
I
Yeah,
believe so.
yeah, he did.
He's a senior this year, and I do believe this was his primary or his preferred board.
He had VRB and museum with it too.
And he didn't get the museum. They've already picked all their candidates, I think.
Well, Anna Gibbs is a senior as well. My
Yeah.
notes, is that correct?
Yeah, we had 5 of the 7 are seniors this year, so,
Yeah.
you know, in years past, it's been easier because, you know, there might be one senior, so it was easier to pick from. I think 3 or 4 of those seniors I think 3 of them had listed the VRB as a first choice, you know, so you had 5 seniors, 3 first choice VRBs, and then one repeat applicant who was also a senior and picked VRB as first choice. So that's sort of how it broke down.
It's tough. You'd like to look at the seniors and be able to select, but we have so many that
Yeah.
you know we can't select them all, and they were all good candidates.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think I looked at Eleanor Doyle. She's on my list. I had her on there too, and as well as Paulos Spica and Anna Gibbs was on it, but my first choice. So I think any of them are great choices. I just reading Anna's a couple of times. That became the number one for me.
Well, I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
that we select Anna Gibbs.
All right. We have a motion for Anna Gibbs. Do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second.
All right. We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Anna Gibbs.
Okay, so that was, 1 second.
I didn't repeat the motion in the second, but you got it, Alderman Pinchot.
Yeah, I did.
and Mr.
I did.
Malaka.
Alderman Pinchak made a motion to select Anna Gibbs, and it was seconded by Mr. Marlowe.
Okay. All right. So with that, we'll move down to the ground-mounted sign applications. The first one being the Healing Hands West entrance, 10935 Kingston Pike.
Okay. It's a fairly simple tenant panel. They've actually redesigned it once. It had a lot more writing on it the first time around. It was really not legible at all from a distance. So they took all the subheading writing off of it and tried to enlarge the lettering to be a little bit more visible. It's not quite as large as the karate, but it's more visible than some of the other tenant panels on that sign. I think the only way they could make it any more legible would be to either drop the logo or drop the spa off the end to, try to boost the font size a little bit more. But, it's when you're out there, it's, would probably be legible the way it is. If you look at the sign, if you're pulling in, into that center, compared to some of the others, I think it'll be readable.
Yeah, I mean, that's along Kingston Pike, and the speeds through there make it
Yeah.
difficult. Even if they did enhance it just a little bit, I don't
Yeah.
think that makes a world difference. To me, it's very easy to read. It's very legible. We have other comments, questions?
Like I said, this is the second iteration, and the redesign was an improvement. So I think they realized it when staff sent comments back to them. They were like, yeah, that might, they took some of the additional, taglines that they, wanted in there and out to sort of make it a little bit more, just basically just the name of the business and not some of the services provided. So it made it a lot more readable.
on that size of a sign, it would be difficult to read all of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
services.
And you can see that on some of the other tenant panels that are listed. They have too much on there and the font's too small. You can't really read some of the others very well.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's no discussion, do we have a motion on Healing Hands West entrance?
A motion that we approve?
Okay. We have a motion to approve by Mr. Armstrong. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Moore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So moving down to Healing Hands East entrance, 10935 Kingston Pike. Pretty much the same
thing
sign.
on the, it's the same thing on the other, on the other entrance. So, same bat time, same bat channel.
All right. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion for approval.
All right. Got a motion by Mr. Marlowe. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Armstrong. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so moving down to the Service Street Auto Repair, 11926 Kingston Pike. So this was formerly First Choice, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
And they did some late redesigning on this. This was an odd application. The sign that was out there, it turned out, was a non-conforming sign. It had been permitted too large. It was a combination of some errors on the original application that, the information on the original application was wrong in several locations, and then on one drawing it showed it being a little larger. So they actually, because they were replacing the sign, they had to cut it down to make it conforming. It was 50 square feet. It's down to 40 square feet now, which is the maximum allowed at the setback they have. It's going on the existing base, and didn't see any reason to have them, redo the base. So the base isn't a full 2 feet, but it's the base that's there. But the sign was, if you look at the existing sign that's out there, it basically is the entire length of the base, or almost the full length of the base. This one's shrunk down a little bit to get within, the ordinance's maximum area. So that was corrected. You can see there some more of the dimensions. Their landscaping this is actually off the original permit for the business that was there. But they have to, reestablish the landscape into code. It doesn't currently meet code. One suggestion on the landscaping is, originally Mark Shipley had suggested that instead of the azaleas, they think about some inkberry holly and a dwarf variety that might be a better species there. If they do want to go with the azaleas, they probably should put a dwarf variety in as well. So, staff would suggest that as a subject too, that they consider a dwarf variety of the azalea, or something like an inkberry holly or something else that's going to grow lower there, so it doesn't block the sign because it's a shorter base. But apart from that, it's a compliant sign now with the redesign.
So are we going to vote just on the sign, or sign and landscape, or do you want them to come back with a better landscaping plan?
No, I think the landscape plan that they have submitted there is would meet the standard. If they reestablish this, the 6 shrubs and the other plantings that they're proposing, the only change that we would suggest is that they, clarify it, and that's a quick amendment they can make, or I can write it in on the permit that the azalea should be a dwarf variety, or that they consider the inkberry holly or something similar that's going to be low. But everything they have submitted now is an approvable plan.
So do you need a subject to on the landscaping?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah.
Well, I would think they would want
Yeah.
the dwarf variety, because those azaleas will hide their sign, and you don't want to do that.
Particularly on the front end, there along the street. If they wanted to use something a little higher on the back side, that wouldn't be as much of a problem. But on the front side, they need to be careful.
Right. Any questions, comments about Service Street Auto Repair?
Is this internally illuminated?
Yeah, it is. It is on the current sign. It will be on the new sign. That they're going to upgrade the lighting to in LED lighting from what's in there now. But most of the sign companies are doing that when they redo a sign.
So, can you go back to the sign just for a second? Are they changing the base color
No,
or
no.
design at all?
Nope, that's all out there. They're essentially just putting a new cabinet on top of the existing base.
Okay.
A new cabinet with the the upgraded sign face and the lighting inside.
Okay. Are they changing the building look? I know that's separate, but are they painting it
I'm not
different?
100% sure of that, to be honest with you. But the only thing they could do would be to short of rebuilding the base, would be to paint it. So
Right.
Have they applied for a new wall sign, exterior wall sign?
they probably have.
Yeah, it's on our,
Yeah,
Oh,
it's on our list.
it's on the list.
Of
Yeah.
the past month.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly seems legible. I mean, they've made the lettering large enough that should be readable
Oh yeah, it's
along Kingston Pike.
Yeah, it's a good sized sign,
Mhm.
and really in when they had to cut down the dimensions of the sign, they didn't really change the sign aspect of it. There's just not as much white around it, so it's
No.
they didn't have to cut down the size of the message. They just have less less background around it.
All right.
At the end of all the slides, do you have a picture of the wall sign?
It
I
probably,
can't remember,
yeah,
I don't
if-
remember seeing
if
it.
it's on the list, if
I
if
thought
not,
it was in the packet. Yeah.
yeah,
That's probably the
yeah,
rendering.
it's
but-
listed there.
Okay.
Do you want me to jump ahead to it, quick?
She just showed it to me, I don't know if the rest of the,
I can see it.
You wanna see it?
I can jump
yeah, why
ahead.
don't
Yeah,
you
if
flip
you
to
can
it real
jump
quick? I'd forgotten it was in there.
There it is.
Yeah. Looks good.
Yeah, it's essentially the same thing.
And I think they did change the color of that building, because I think it's red brick, or it was.
red
Yeah,
brick.
was
that's what I
red-
was
Red
thinking.
brick, so,
Well, that's sort of what I was thinking about the base. It looked to me like it was a different color,
And
but that,
It looked like the rendering was maybe painted, or they were,
yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like now. I mean, that's an actual Photoshop picture of it, so,
well, the building you just showed us was more of a gray
yeah, a little
building.
bit more, a little more gray.
I guess that was my question, because that's the base as it is, but if you go to the next slide, it shows a different color.
Yeah, but I think
It-
that's just, the way that color's rendering on the.
But it's planning to match the building though, right? I mean, that's one of the things
Well,
we,
they're just planning to put the cabinet on the existing base, but that's what the base looks like now, this picture.
So they painted the front of the building, but they're not gonna paint the base?
If
Do
you
we
want to make
require
that a
it?
subject too, sure, you could, yep.
I think they should.
I
That's what we've
think,
been saying all
I
along.
think so, just for, because normally
consistent.
if it's a new ground-mounted sign, it has to be consistent with the building. I would think we would want to continue that if they're changing the face of the building for it to still
Sure.
maintain consistency.
We're not asking them to change the base, just paint it to,
If they're painting the building.
That
paint the
gray,
building, yeah.
that gray
I
color.
think they, just looking at that image, it looks like it's been Photoshopped and lightened, the base has.
Yeah, it did.
Because there's
look
if you look at, there's a pretty strong edge right around the,
right there.
yeah, you see the edge around the mulch and stuff, that looks like it's been Photoshopped and lightened right there, so.
It does.
Sure, that's their plan.
Yeah, but you can clarify that if you
think we
want.
should.
You can put it as part of your motion.
Even
Subject
looks
to the
like a
base
great
being
view.
painted to match.
Great.
Yeah, it's been.
That's a
it's been
minor.
lightened and Photoshopped, so
yeah,
that'll be the plan.
just the base paint matched the building paint and that plus the dwarf,
We've lightened it.
whichever selection they make of plants. It looks like the street numbering's compliant and legible. I like that they Didn't make it a complete rectangle box. They gave it a little design on the edges of it there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments or questions about Service Street Auto Repair?
One other question, I'm just curious. The service is real big, auto repair is small, but on the building, service is real small and auto repair is real big. How did that,
That's what they wanted to do.
I don't have a problem, I'm just wondering from y'all reviewing the wall sign, were there any comments, were there any issues with that from staff?
No, we try to stay away from, the message side of things. It was consistent in terms of color and that sort of thing. I think it makes sense the way they did it.
I think with service in that arch the way it is on the building, they could only make it so big.
Yeah.
They had to make it kind of smaller, and then
Yeah.
that left them a lot of room for auto repair to be larger.
Okay, I don't have any problems with it, I'm just curious if staff
No.
had any issues.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, we had a couple things that, for potential subject to there, so we have a motion on Service Street Auto Repair.
Do we need two motions?
No.
Just one.
I think you could do a motion with, with two subject tos
Mhm.
listed on it.
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to the landscaping on the azaleas, either be a dwarf variety or the Ingberry holly or something smaller so it doesn't block the sign, as well as the base, just clarification that it matches the color of the building.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Ms. Moore, a second by Alderman Pinchot. Do we have, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so moving on to landscape plan applications. The first being the Westerly Subdivision, which is located off of Champions Point.
Okay. This is a small residential portion of the subdivision. The property actually runs all the way down to Kingston Pike, and there'll be some commercial development down below this. This is further up on the hill. From that, it's just to the west of the Dollar General is the property we're talking about, and then this is up behind it. It's a small residential subdivision, or at least this portion of it, with a single cul-de-sac. The landscape plan that's being submitted is predominantly to deal with the requirement around the detention basin. And then also they've included the streetscaping elements that go along, that the Planning Commission requires, but that we've been looking at as the board as well. From, the street tree elements. There is some landscaping at the entryway, around the mailbox kiosk that will be up there on what would be the eastern corner of the entry road. And then there's an open space area that's there on the opposite corner that I didn't get a clarification from the preparer of the plan as to whether or not they are proposing a subdivision entrance sign. I would imagine if they are, it'll be on that western corner. So, one of staff's comment there was, to address that if need be, and make sure that if they are proposing to put a sign in there, that the landscaping that they're proposing is not going to conflict with it. But to date, they haven't proposed a sign for it. The subdivision's gone through the Planning Commission, for a preliminary plat, which is sort of a construction stage plat. But it doesn't have final plat approval yet. But the plan is in pretty good shape. All the plantings that they're proposing are appropriate. they meet our standards for street trees and shade trees. One of the subject twos that, staff would recommend is that they either modify their existing plant schedule table or they provide a secondary table that identifies each species, the number of each species by proposed use. So is it a street tree? Is it a detention basin tree? Is it a flowering variety detention basin tree? The numbers that they are showing and everything is compliant, but one of the requirements for a landscape plan is that they break it out by proposed use. So you need to get that clarification on the plan. Another subject too for the potential approval is again addressing the location of the entrance sign if one's planned for, and I don't know whether the developer plans to have an entrance sign or not. And then, this is just an odd point that I just wanted to put in the record, but these are not going to be tract homes. They're not going to just build them all. They're platting the lots and then they're going to build the suit. So they don't exactly know where the driveways are going. So they have hypothetical driveways in there, and one of them conflicts with one of the trees, but that's not to say that's exactly where the driveways can be, because this isn't a layout like some of the tract home builders in town do. So, we just need a note somewhere in the record that if, they'll either have to put their driveway where it doesn't conflict with a planted public street tree, or if a street tree was damaged, then, the builder of that property and will have to replace it somewhere else.
Okay.
They're essentially going to be, build to suit, sort of custom build homes is my understanding. So they don't know exactly, what the design of the home will be, where the driveway, would be, left or right side, that, that sort of thing. So I think they were just putting the driveways in there as a typical type, dimension, but.
And they'll likely build them out as people purchase a lot. So it could be in any combination.
Or, like a
order.
builder might buy 2 lots and build 2 homes on them, and a different builder might buy a couple other lots and build. Now, I'm not exactly how they propose to do that, but they're not clearing much of the land. They're basically going to go in and clear what they need to do grading for the road and a little bit of lieback, but a lot of it is going to stay in trees until the individual homes are built on each individual lot.
I see.
So are you saying there's trees on this entire lot at the moment?
There's quite a bit of,
Yeah.
quite a bit of forest cover on it.
Is there any buffer required between the neighborhood and the commercial development?
There will be, but that'll be down on the commercial development
commercial
portion.
part.
Yep.
I mean, I know Dollar General's already there. We had a buffer there, but at the time, it was forest behind it.
Yeah.
And I obviously can't remember what's there, but, and I'm not on the planning commission, but was there any discussion about leaving some kind of trees in along all of these lots that are going to back up to the commercial?
Well,
Provide additional buffer?
there will need to be a buffer there that when they develop it commercially,
Right.
they'll have to introduce that. But again, from meeting with the developer, they're trying to retain a lot of the tree cover on the individual lots. And I think their intention is to be able to go in and site the homes and only remove the trees that need to be removed for that particular house being built. So
Okay.
basically, the way they're developing it is they're bringing the road down through. They're obviously going to have to take out trees for the path of the road and the grading for that, and then down in the detention basin area. But they're not, they're trying not to pull too many trees out on the front end.
So who will maintain this until there's some maintenance from the homeowners in this area?
Well, it'll be the same as most of, the developments that, the owner will maintain control until a certain number are sold. a certain number of the lots are sold.
Am I mistaken that it's rare that we see a landscape plan out in front of any signage, entrance signage, or any grading that's going on? Like,
Yeah.
can we actually vote on this, not knowing that they may not put these trees we're talking about in till later with the driveway extensions that we don't know about, with the trees that could possibly be there that they leave?
Well, now, they'll have to put the street trees back in the right-of-way, like the right-of-way of the road is being cleared. So where the road is
Okay.
going in, and what they're doing is, under the Planning Commission subdivision regulations, they now require a streetscaping plan. So these are going to be trees that are going to be actually planted back onto the public right-of-way. So, so those trees will be public trees. They'll be there,
Okay.
in between the sidewalk and the road, or just behind the sidewalk. So they will have to plant those trees or post a letter of credit for those before they get final plat approval. So, and on subdivisions, we have seen the plans before they're finished, and even before there's any sort of signage proposal, because they have to, under the requirements, they have to provide landscaping around the detention basin, and now also they have to do the landscaping for the streetscaping. So we have seen some of these before.
Got it. So they're going to cut the road,
Yep.
but they're not going to grade any of the lots.
They're going to do some grading on them, but,
Okay.
but they're trying to minimize the grading. There's some grading they have to do just because of the way the lots fall off, and then on some of the balance work they're going to have to do down in the down for the commercial area. So there'll be some grading, but the property owner, and developer sort of recognizes the value of some of the large trees on that site, and the potential for developing a wooded subdivision, a subdivision with a lot of existing tree cover in it. So.
I have two questions. I didn't study this drawing very closely, and I can't read that small print, but maybe you can answer it for me. Are there sidewalks
On one side.
on one side? And do you know the width of the roads? Or road?
I don't know. Typically, it's 26 feet. I can't remember if they applied for a road width variance there, because it's a fairly short road, only serving a few lots. But if they did, it was probably a fairly minor reduction. So I would say in all likelihood it's 26, but it may be a little narrower than that. The right of way would still be 50 feet though.
Yeah, okay. Is the sidewalk on the south side or north side, do you know?
I don't know if I can. Oops.
West, right?
I assume it's the top one.
It's
on the
on
south side.
It's on the south side.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
Or, street lamps, street lights, do you know?
I don't remember from the subdivision plat if that was planned, and I don't.
Isn't it?
What is the?
It is
Man, I can't get this to go down now.
It escaped.
If that'll do it? Oh, yeah, perfect.
It's west, but
The sidewalk's gonna get-
There's a control key that does that too, and I can never remember which one it is.
Yeah, and here, yeah, that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
all going around this way and connecting to the walking trails.
And it's actually
Yeah.
coming from.
There's already a walking trail that goes up from the Dollar General that this connects into in the corner there, and then the sidewalk will go down, and then it will head south along the detention basin there, and it will tie into the commercial area as well.
Okay. I just really hope that when they build these lots that face the commercial, that they'll consider putting some evergreen trees or something even inside the residential
Yeah.
lot.
Well,
You know,
I'm.
give a
I'm-
further
you know,
barrier.
Our hope from a staff standpoint is that they don't clear the rear portions of the lots, either on the south or north side of the road
Right,
that they're
okay.
putting in, and just, keep the backyards as wooded as possible. I mean, under the regulations, they could clear a lot of it for the,
Mhm.
for the building, but, hopefully they won't.
Yeah, Hopefully they will. Okay. Well, as far as what we're looking at today, which is the street plan and the basin plan, I couldn't see anything I have issue with. Other comments, questions on those areas?
And as I said, staff can recommend approval of it, subject to them either adding or amending their existing plant schedule table, to identify, the number of each species being used to satisfy each individual requirement, whether it be a basin or a street tree. Addressing the location of the subdivision sign, if one's even planned, and then, just a notation that, the driveways are going to have to be coordinated with the street trees, because, once the final plat is done and that's all in place, those would be public trees. They'll be on the public right away.
Bert, what are the requirements around the mail kiosks? Are there any specific requirements around?
We don't
those?
have one now. No, I mean that's not in the landscape ordinance currently. There's not a requirement for landscaping there. Most of the developers tend to landscape around those, but
Okay.
It's still a fairly new thing that every development has to have those.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't really tell how big of an area that is, but just looking at what's there with oak leaf hydrangeas, 13 of them, and 6 Nellie Stevens, they get very large, both of those, and that's
Yeah.
a lot. That's a lot planted in what looks like a
Yeah.
relatively small area that, would very easily take over in a very quick amount of time.
Yeah, well, if you want to make a note, I can pass that on to the, to the designer.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
So I don't know how big of a space that is, but could overtake mailbox areas is just, if you want it to be convenient to get to. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's thoughts. That's why I asked about that.
Yeah.
If you all have any preferred species that you say to be around there or not.
we don't right now, because it is a
Okay.
fairly new standard, and the landscape ordinance doesn't require any landscaping around that area
Okay.
right now.
I thought we made when I say we, the town, not necessarily this group, but I thought we made a recommendation that a sign location and size and so forth had to be part of the landscaping plan. So we're saying subject to, we want to know where it's going, but we're also agreeing that certain trees on this
Yeah.
plan and
Well, that's if
The
they're going to
subject
have
to
a
gonna
sign.
handle that?
Well, yeah, because I don't know whether they're planning a sign.
Right.
They may just choose not to put have an entrance sign at this subdivision, in which case it's sort of a
Well-
moot point.
well, I think if they come back with a sign, you got to make sure then that, as Brittany's saying, that the
Yeah.
trees and so forth there aren't going to be overwhelming.
Well, I think that'll be on the other corner, because they won't be able to fit a sign in, I don't think, where the mailbox kiosk is.
But that other corner, they've put, I guess, a visibility triangle there,
Yep.
and then they've put trees right behind it. There's no place for a sign.
Yeah, unless they're, it could be a small sign, like just a column with a plaque on it, and, if the trees are limbed up a little bit, it would work,
I suppose. There's 12 homes, so a smaller sign may be adequate.
I just haven't seen any plan for a sign, and I could see where, 3 months from now, 4 months from now, they'll come back with, with a sign plan, and then it'll conflict with some of the landscaping here, so I just wanted to raise that point to the, to the designer, that if there's going to be a sign, let's try to get it coordinated now instead
So
of.
if they came back and said, we do want to put a sign where you're suggesting, and there's 1 or 2 trees there that may be conflict with the sign, if those 2 trees, for instance, were to be removed, would they still meet the requirement?
For this, yeah, they would.
Okay, so they could easily come back and say, oh, okay, we'll just take out these 2 trees and put a sign right there, and everything else would still be in
And,
compliance.
and if they put a sign in, they'll have to do a landscaping plan for the sign now.
Right.
You know, if they could do it all together, it, you know, was one of my points to them, was that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you coordinate it now, you know, you can have your signage plan, your landscaping for your signage, and this landscaping plan all in place, you know, as opposed to coming back but,
It sounds a little bit like they're trying to spend the most minimum amount they can right now until they actually start selling lots, and that will be something maybe later on, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know that. I just, you know, this is something they had to do to be able to move forward to be doing the development.
Okay.
And that, you know, the signage a lot of times comes later, but, you know, now we have streetscaping requirements and everything. So I think it's better if they try to at least coordinate on the front end.
Okay. All right, any other comments or questions? Okay. Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Sure, I'll take a stab at it. I'll make a motion to approve, subject to the table being provided, amending the existing plant schedule, just identifying the individual requirements, addressing the location of a subdivision entrance sign if they plan to use one, and adjusting the landscaping around that if needed, and then noting that the actual driveway locations will need to be coordinated with the tree locations, the street tree locations, once that's all determined. Is that everything?
And
Did
and
you
then
add
you
a
want to know passed on
recommendation?
about the kiosk?
Right, a recommendation about what you said?
Yeah, and then just a recommendation to maybe think through the number of trees around the kiosk and the size.
Good job.
So we have a motion by Ms. Moore. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
See, that was the easy part. Mr. Marlowe. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, moving down to Casey's at 701 North Campbell Station Road.
Okay. As I'm sure you're all aware, the Casey's chain has taken over a lot of the, the pilot retail sites that were around. So in some cases, they're expanding the stores. They're doing that for both of the pilots that were here in town. They're taking out the car washes. They're expanding the buildings. And as part of that, they're coming back in and putting some additional landscaping in. For this particular one, I know you're all familiar with where the site is. The car wash on the south side of the site's coming out. They're enlarging the building to the south a bit, and then they're kind of putting back in a larger green space and adding back in some trees, and an island within the parking area that'll also have a tree in it. So it's a fairly minor landscaping plan. It meets all our standards, and we can recommend approval of it. They made a couple of changes. Initially, they had the ball cypress throughout, including in the island, and we were a little concerned about putting a cypress in a parking lot landscape island like that. So they came back in and took it out and put in a Zelkova instead, and also put a couple of those in the larger landscaped area there to the south end of the building. So there's actually going to be more green space on this site than there previously was, and they're taking out some of the trees that had grown up around the car wash site that were a little overgrown and not always in great shape. So it should be an improvement to the site.
Yeah, when I saw that, I thought they must be taking out the car washes. It appeared that way on
Yep.
on both buildings. And I know we approved signage that said future home of Casey's Pizza, so I'm guessing that's why they're doing this for the pizza side of.
I would assume
Business.
so, yeah, I would assume so.
Okay. All right, any comments, questions of the board on this landscape plan? And overall, I think what you laid out will be an improvement for the site compared to what it had looked like in recent years.
Maybe help with some of the traffic in that parking lot too. There's a lot of movement in that area, so.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, if there's no questions or comments, do we have a motion?
A motion to approve.
A motion approved by Mr. Armstrong. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Moore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving down to Casey's at 13061 Kingston Pike.
This is the same situation. They're expanding the store, in this case to the east. They're taking out the car wash that existed there, enlarging the building. They did have to come back and redesign this a little bit, both to meet the landscaping plan requirement, but also when the planning commission reviews this site plan a week or two ago, one of their subject to approvals was, the introduction of the minimum amount of landscaping between the building and the parking lot and the building and the traffic aisles. So they've had to come in and add that landscaping that there immediately in front of the building addition, and then there along the side of that building where the traffic aisle wraps around. They're actually got more landscaping now than would normally be required, but they went in and added that landscaping along the building between the building and the drive aisle, and then they're putting a tree back into the the island that's going to be in front there. So let me see if I can highlight that. Maybe, whoops. It's this area here. They put landscaping in, and then at the front there. Originally, they had just had that as concrete sidewalk all the way around the building, so they took that out, they redesigned, and they've added that landscaping in those areas to meet the minimum requirements, and now they're actually over the amount they need between the building and the parking lots and traffic aisles. So again, staff can recommend approval of this.
All right, any questions or comments from the board?
So again, they're adding the Zelkova as the tree?
Yeah, in that parking lot island.
Yeah.
So that's a new terminal island
Mhm.
at the end of that row of parking, and so they're adding a tree there.
What are the shrubs that you highlighted?
Yeah,
I couldn't read it there.
yeah. I'd have to zoom in on that, but that's what they are.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions?
Again, I think it'll be an improvement on that site. It'll
Right.
Open that up and.
Right. All right, hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Motion approved by Mr. Marlowe. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Armstrong. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so under the other business, we see that there were a number of wall signs approved over the past month. We have a list of those here. Any board comments or questions about any of those signs, or any staff comments or questions at this point?
I think at the last meeting, I think Alderman Pinchuk had asked for, like a little information, a little blurb on each sign, any issues that came up, the way we went about evaluating them. So Holly put that together. That was a separate sheet attachment. I didn't know if you had any questions about any of that. There weren't a lot of issues in this crop that came up, but in looking at them, you can see some of the things that we do have to evaluate when they're being looked at. Here is the signage that's permitted is based on the linear length of the wall, the front wall that it's being mounted on. So you can see there it was 50 linear feet, and the way we permit the sign is 1 square foot of sign area per 1 linear foot of distance. So that's why there's changes in town in terms of the size of a sign that might be on the front of a building. It depends on the width of the building. In strip malls, it's the lease space and the length there. And then the way we measure the sign area is basically draw an imaginary rectangle around that sign to encompass all elements of it. And that's the way we measure the square footage. So in that case, it was 19 feet long by 2 feet 7 inches tall, and you just do the math on the area. Here's another one for Real Hot Yoga. This is sort of a sheet that we get a lot of times. Some of the sign companies will give us a sheet like this that spells out the dimensions of the signage on an individual, talks about the type of sign. In this case, it's a reverse lit channel letter. Again, in some areas we have to consider that. Like in the town center area, the signs have to be backlit or externally lit. In other developments, we have a consistency requirement in terms of lighting. So if all the other signs in the development are all reverse lit channel letters, and someone comes in and wants to propose a face lit channel letter, that's an issue that we have to work with them to get that resolved. Basically, the way that works is they build a can. They build the letter. Normally, there's a backer on it, and the front of the sign is translucent, and the light just comes through. In this case, they leave the back off. The light spills out from around the back of it. And sometimes it's a bit of both. Like sometimes it'll be face lit and reverse lit. So, and then here's where it's going up on the building.
Is that Village Green?
Yep.
Where exactly where in the center is that?
I forget what it's next to.
Kind of in the middle,
I
isn't
don't know
it?
if it's
It's kind
shown
of in
here.
the
Well,
middle.
okay, you can sort of see there.
It's almost like right when you drive up the middle.
Right in the middle?
It's,
Okay.
yeah,
I was trying to figure out what was there before.
it was the
Tuesday
tanning
morning?
bed, and then, what did that turn into?
Was it Tuesday morning?
It was Tuesday morning?
No, it's to the right of Tuesday morning. It's to the right of
Tuesday's-
the,
Snappy Tomato in that area?
it's to the left
The
of Snappy
left.
Tomato.
Okay. We're getting close. I get a good
Right in between
idea.
the two. Yeah.
Ranging it there.
All right.
Here's another one that's going over there in Nerds to Go. Again, we measure their lease space, so they had 15 feet there. So that's the square footage of the sign they were allowed, and so that's how those are dealt with. Here's another one that was, we got a lot of dimensions there that, go beyond what we, normally would need in terms of the height of the roof line and that sort of thing. But it's good to know when they provide that for us. But in this case, it's based on the 59-foot dimension at the top, which is their lease space. And here's one out at the Renaissance Center. And they have quite a bit of space internal there, but we still go based on the front footage, not the internal space of the building. And here's another one in Village Green. We did meet with the folks from Village Green to talk to them about where they want to go with signage. Again, to sort of get some consistency that, that center now is a bit of a hodgepodge in terms of the types of signs in there. There's some cabinet signs, there's some channel letter signs, we're going to start working with them and get them to define what they want, so we can be more consistent going forward. And that's one of the things we're trying to do with a lot of the strip centers is get with the owners or, whoever controls the center and encourage them to come up with some sort of consistent signage plan. Is everything going to be a channel letter sign? Is everything going to be, white letters? Do they, that sort of thing, so.
It's a tough one because the space you have on this, we'll call it the banner strip there, just not a lot of real estate.
No, it's not.
I mean, the yoga place is obviously using it to their advantage,
Mm-hmm.
the gable, but there's just not a lot of room.
Yeah, some of the older centers don't have a lot of room to put a sign up on.
Is this the oldest center or is it across the street? Probably across the street. You think in Farragut?
Could be.
Across the street, probably, right? The brick one.
They're probably about this, no, the one across the street's older.
I figured it,
Yeah.
like 60s, yeah.
Early 80s, maybe.
And in the case of, Village Green, it's so far off Kingston Pike that, until you're up in there,
Yeah.
you can't really see the signage anyway.
Sign lit.
I think that's just an applique. I think they're individual plastic letters. They're just mounted to the, to the side of the building. It's not a lit sign.
Okay. Yeah. Because like the one next to it is a box sign. We just saw the one that's reverse lit. We know Fresh Market's internally lit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's a
like you
hodgepodge
said,
out there.
I mean, but it always has been. There's
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been consistency in there.
And
So-
what we'd like to do is try to work with, the owner of that center,
They moved.
and have them try to, come along with,
No, that's the same place.
some sort of,
They're right next
Have you approached them with that idea? What's their response been?
I thought that was moving down to the corner of Fresh Market.
they would like to do something like that. They were a little hesitant to come up with it
'cause
right
that
now
place
because they're
is-
trying to, lease a very large space in there, and they want to allow that tenant to drive, like a potential tenant in there to, to drive what they ultimately want to do in terms of signage. But, they realize that it would be nice to have a more consistent look to the signage going up in that development.
Where is the Donna Nails one? That one.
That's the,
That's down in the,
So the new, at Ingles, is that it?
no.
No.
No, that's either where Marco's Pizza is, or you said Renaissance, but I don't think it's a Renaissance.
No.
That was
that-
Renaissance was that one.
That one's
Yeah.
Renaissance.
Yeah, Complete Suites is
I
Renaissance.
think that's in the,
Looks like Ingles,
that's
but
the, I thought that was the old
but
Ingles that they
P3 is on the
refaced.
end, is it not?
like Ingles, doesn't it?
I went by there one day.
That is the end.
10932.
I think they went into the,
Wait,
The
what's
indoor
the
sports.
address?
Ingles.
Yeah.
Where is the address?
It's
on
gotta
this?
be Ingles.
I don't even see the address
That's what I mean, it looks like it.
of this.
Yay, we got something else going in there. That's good
About
news.
time.
but that's the edge.
It is. It's right next to,
That's your road. I mean.
no, because it's in the middle. That's not where the stop sign is, though. Look, there's a stop right there. That can't be. They don't have a stop sign right in front of them.
Yeah, it says it's at 11801 Kingston Pike.
But there's not a stop sign right
So that would be,
What's
that'd
the
be about
address?
right. 11801.
Yeah.
That'd be about right for the old Ingles location.
That's not a proper stop sign. There's not a stop sign there. And that's not where it goes up. There's two more buildings because there was the cleaners, there was Dollar General, and then there was the Ingles before there's the stop. I live right there. I see it every
Yeah.
day.
Maybe the sports places right
118, what was it?
Yeah, it's at the end of the old Ingles.
Yeah, 11801.
That's
How
not
closest
a
to the new
real
Ingles, that end?
picture.
Or the other
I think
end?
it's on the other end.
It's on the farm.
Close to,
It's on the,
Right behind that what is it,
The new dental,
The
the new
dentist,
dental
yeah.
business.
yeah, was it dental? Yeah.
The out parcel that they built the dental office
Mhm.
on.
Right. Okay, well, good. I mean, something else is going in there, so that's good. That's good.
How's everybody feel about getting this information?
It's good.
I like it.
That's good.
Does that help? Randy? And you had some comments about this,
Well,
concerns.
I did, but I mean, we don't, and that's fine, I understand it. We can't, I mean, we can comment on it, but it's after the fact, and that's fine. I mean,
Well, for something
seeing
that,
it's
if
good.
there's something we disagree with, we can give them feedback and say, you know,
For
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, for future, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think Bart's got his work cut out for him in this particular center of the old white, I guess it's a white property, whatever it's called.
Ingalls.
Village
Or
Green.
Village Green.
Village Green. I mean,
White
that's
property.
that's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, that's tough.
And actually, it's Holly that's working on a lot of that coordination now, because she's handling a lot of the wall signs.
Yeah,
But,
but it is good information, and I still feel like it's important. I feel like the wall signs are important. I think we stated that, so yeah, it's good.
And I think it's a good idea to have the little brief report, and particularly, you know, there'll be some here, you know, in the next couple months, I'm sure, to where, you know, there'll be more issues, you know, that we had to go through. They weren't as clear cut as permitting these, and you'll get a sense of some of the, you know, some of the things that come up, and, you know, maybe it'll give you a better sense as to what, you know, what your role might be, or, you know, what the VRB's role could be on wall signs, and how to approach that. I think that's why Alderman Pinchot had kind of proposed this, or at least that was my understanding, is, you know, to sort of get a sense of what the review process is for wall signs, some of the things that come up as to whether or not, you know, it's something that, you know, the board wants to wade into or not in a bigger way.
Right.
Could we review these at the beginning of the meeting?
We could,
Would that be?
yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, I've been listening to them at the end in part because, you know, sometimes we have applicants here, and I figured, you know, rather than them wait, but yeah, we could go through these on the,
Well, I mean,
I can do 'em first.
when we had these on our agenda before, years
Yeah.
ago, they were at the beginning. And you got to discuss and see them before you went into the ground mounted signs.
In reference, the auto repair, the service street would have been helpful
Right.
to have it.
Right,
You're right.
yeah.
right.
That's what I was thinking. That's why I asked them to go forward and pull it up, because I couldn't remember what it looked like.
So are we going to evaluate these for several months and then decide if there's more that we can do here?
Did you have a chance, Marty, to talk?
Well, I was going to bring that up. I did not have a chance to do that, and that was on me this last month because I had
Busy schedule.
a few things going on. But I'm going to endeavor to do that over this next month if we can schedule a time
Yeah.
to meet. But
Get with Mark and sit down, and
Yeah.
I think he's got, you know, he's
I
got
think
some
what I was
ideas.
thinking is there anything that the planning commission is, I mean, their meetings can be really long sometimes. I
Yeah.
just wonder if there's anything that they do that could be put on our shoulders here and take a little of the burden off of them. Or now we got a new what's it called?
A tree board,
Tree board.
yeah, for
I don't know how that's
for
gonna.
public trees, for the, you know, parks and, you know, trees on public property.
So I just think it's good to have some dialogue between staff and the chair, and the chair could talk to the other members of this committee and say, do we want to take on something else, or want to leave it the way it is? I'd like moving this to the front of the, you know, continue with this, this wall sign, but bring it to the beginning of the meeting. That's all good information, good suggestions. And we need to have that kind of input. We need to have those kind of discussions.
And it's good to evaluate what you do every now and then.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good thing to do.
I like the fact that we have this board and what it's done in the past. I just want to make sure it's viable, good work, and that we're all feel good about what we're doing here.
Agreed. Okay, anything else tonight? No? Anything else, Bart?
Nope, that's it.
All right, well, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, guys. We will
Thank
see
you.
you next month.
Perfect.
Good luck with the campaign.
Not you, but.
Thank you.